Hey, I'm Blake Benson, co-owner of Brookhaven Development, which is a full-service land development business that's really focused on both commercial and residential properties. We do everything from home renovations to utilities, roadways, land clearing, and nearly everything in between. I partnered with my in-laws. I got started on this business. It's brand new this year. We just started this summer. I partnered with my in-laws on this business, which may sound crazy to some of you, depending on your in-laws, because I love East Tennessee and the land that I live in. I spent several years away from East Tennessee, lived abroad in Europe while I was in the Air Force, and I couldn't wait to come back to East Tennessee. I did a stint in the Midwest. Maybe that had something to do with it. But being in nature and just spending time here. I mean, this is home for me. I'm an avid outdoorsman, love to fly fish. I live very close to the Tennessee River and spend a lot of time on the Holston and French Broad rivers. And um, being able to just spend time outdoors and maybe have an impact on being able to develop land sustainably or look at opportunities Knoxville's growing a lot. Everyone knows that. And so I think being able to have a role in how that looks in the future is really important to me, being that I want to conserve the beauty of this area. It's something that I think is so unique to East Tennessee. I mean, I really do think this is one of the prettiest places on the planet. I haven't seen everywhere on earth, but East Tennessee is pretty high up there on my list. And being in nature and be able to work outside in that is just such a blessing. And I have a tremendous passion for building and developing things sustainably. And I do, that's one of the reasons I really appreciate Seed and this program and platform and the business's mission concept, because it really is all about sustainability. And I really just felt called to step into this line of work because I wanted to provide opportunities for myself and others who are, like I said, really passionate about preserving the beauty of our slice of the world, to be more intentional about that development around the greater Knoxville area. And even in the communities that we live in. And I think a lot about the concept or notion of the communities that we live in a modern context, and why they were built and how we interact with them and how we engage with our neighbors. And I think if you were to go talk to people who live in Knoxville and you ask them to tell me three things about your three closest neighbors, I don't think many people could do that. And I think about how Jesus would have lived in this modern society. And I don't think he would be behind a computer screen for 10 hours a day, sitting at a desk, isolated from neighbors. I think about our homes and communities we live in today. And like I said, how they were designed, it was really around work. I know for me, I live in an older home in South Knoxville, and the individuals who lived here likely supported the quarry industry because that was what was here. That's where the development came from. That's why people lived here. They lived here for work. But back then, work provided you so much more than work provides you today. You had communities at work. You had spiritual communities there, church groups. You had spouses groups. You had men's hunting clubs and all these things. And the 1940s and so on that we just don't have today. And yet we still live in those communities and still interact with those communities in the same way. And so oftentimes think about, maybe there's a new way that we can build communities. Maybe there's a way we can do that more intentionally. Maybe there's a new model for that. And I think there is a way, and something that I feel called to is trying to build more intentional communities in Knoxville and the greater Knoxville area that are focused on organic architecture and building sustainably, and have a community focus so that you can have a more human-centric experience, get to know your neighbors, understand what they're going through, have a support system around you that's not just, your family, if you're lucky enough to have a family that's located here. And so I always say there's nothing in this world that's original anymore, and there's a lot of communities like this in other parts of the world and even in other parts of the U.S. So I'm not saying this is like a new or novel idea, but I would love to see more of those communities built in Knoxville, and be more intentional about the way that we build things here that honors the land and honors Jesus. And I'd love to see if that concept sticks or not. And I do believe, I mean, at the end of the day, I believe that many of the problems our society faces could be solved with a little bit of intentionality and selflessness. And I'll depart on two quotes. One's a Nelson Henderson: "The true meaning of life is to plant trees under whose shade you do not expect to sit." And C.S. Lewis, of course, "Great works of art and good works of charity had also be good work. Let the choir sing well or not at all." Thanks, y'all.